I figure we should start with something a little bit lighter before we dive into all these depressing foreign policy affairs because, we got to kind of laugh at something. And I wanted to start by talking about CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, which ironically took place in Maryland on March 4th, 2023. First off, I'll just say that CPAC used to be kind of this event that all types of Republicans would go. You had the Libertarian Republicans, the establishment tax cut Republicans, the populists, the evangelicals. It was kind of like, I think it was Charlie Sykes on The Bulwark who said CPAC used to be kind of this Star Wars bar scene where all the kooks and the chaos were all just like coming together. And now CPAC is really TPAC, the Trump Political Action Conference. And the reason I say that, I think it started back in 2019 or 2020 when they had these giant gold statues of Trump at it. I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't really seem to me like just a random fun conference for all types. No, this is like a Trump sycophancy. And of course, it's led by Matt Schlapp, who has his own controversies, which we've already talked about. But he's become just a brown noser to Donald Trump. And all you had to do is look at some of the speakers at this thing. You had like Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Mike Lindell, Kari Lake, Steve Bannon. Like, these are not your typical, like, rhino Republicans or whatever you want to call them. This is like the MAGA, America First populist movement. And I think the way to sum it up best would be when Trump gave a speech during CPAC, which he dominated at, of course, because it does seem like Trump is back. And he said people are tired of rhinos. They're tired of globalists. They want to see America first. That's what they want. It's not too complicated. He said the Republican Party was ruled by freaks, neocons, open border zealots, and fools. We're never going back to the Paul Ryan, Karl Rove, or Jeb Bush thing. Then he attacked Republicans who wanted to raise Social Security retirement age. He also vowed to run even if he's indicted. And look, he talked about law and order. He talked about freedom cities. He wants to build freedom cities, I guess, which are kind of a response to sanctuary cities. Interesting stuff, for sure. I think also the interesting thing is that he endorsed mail-in ballots, early voting, and ballot harvesting, which is kind of interesting. And then he also highlighted Kari Lake's failed gubernatorial bid. He talked about how he will move heaven and earth, basically, to secure our elections. Kind of a lot of ranting. It wasn't very busy. I should also add that I couldn't even find CPAC on any channels or TPAC on any channels. It took me diving deep into the internet to find any coverage of it. But what I will say is that while Trump and Kari Lake and Steve Bannon were there, what's more telling is who wasn't at CPAC. You didn't have some of the other people that could be important in the 2024 race. You didn't have Mike Pence there, who, I mean, we all know why he wasn't there. Some of the people there might have wanted to hang him. But we also didn't have Ron DeSantis, who clearly has this I have better things to do type of attitude. It just seems like I think it was smart for some of them to sit it out because then they did this straw poll and Trump dominated in it. Trump overwhelmingly won the annual straw poll. He received 62% of the vote, which was actually down, by the way, from CPAC in Texas, where they brought Viktor Orban there, where he won 69% of the vote. But it was actually kind of impressive that, he dominated. Ron DeSantis came in second at this CPAC straw poll with 20% of the vote, and Nikki Haley got like 3%. So nothing too great there by any means. But the thing is like, I don't think there's any importance to this straw poll because, like I said, this is not CPAC anymore. This is TPAC. And of course, everyone there is a MAGA person. They're a Trump person. They're not DeSantis. And Rich Lowry wrote an interesting article. I believe it was in Politico. And Rich Lowry's definitely a DeSantis guy. Rich Lowry said, like, he sounds worried in it because he wants DeSantis to be the nominee, but he's like, DeSantis is trying to be Trump light. And he's like, what's the point of voting for DeSantis when you can just have the whole thing with Trump? And I think that is DeSantis's problem, especially at a CPAC, where everyone just wants the real thing. It's like, why get synthetic drugs when you could have the real thing, I guess? And in this case, Trump is the real deal, and DeSantis hasn't been able to really differentiate himself too much from Trump, and actually he's less likable and seems almost more mean than Trump. And I think because of this, a lot of people are going, I'd rather just have the real deal. And we see that at CPAC. So to me, the jury's kind of out whether DeSantis should have gone to CPAC or if he should have just stayed away. But either way, I think what this shows me, even though it's CPAC and not some big event, is that Trump is still the front runner. He still runs the GOP. And it is troubling to me that it doesn't look like any sane person's going to be able to really come out. And I should also note in that straw poll, they also asked participants about their top picks for vice president. And actually, Kari Lake beat out Ron DeSantis, which again, I think tells you about what CPAC is about, right? She got, let me see here. She came in first for vice president with 19.6% of the straw poll. DeSantis came in second at 14%. So again, what that tells me here is that these people don't want establishment types. Even if Ron DeSantis is kind of an asshole, they don't want that type of person. They want the Kari Lakes. And the more I think about this, I think if Trump ends up being the nominee, he either picks like a Kari Lake or a Marjorie Taylor Greene. I truly do believe that because him and DeSantis have burned bridges. They are not going to be friends anymore. And the CPAC base wants it. And a lot of them are always Trumpers. They will not go to anyone else. And it seems like a lot of them vote. And so I don't think CPAC is anything too notable other than Trump is still the standard of the party. So we'll move on, but what a joke CPAC is all I can say. And as much of a joke it is, we have to take some of this seriously because, hey, it's the future.